It didn't make the UK number one. It was beaten out by Simon Cowell's early career, where he found two guys from a sort of reasonably popular ITV evening drama, ITV evening drama called Soldier Soldier, wherein the two characters sang Unchained Melody in the show, and Simon Cowell took the brainwave that was going to be a pop hit. He managed, Simon Cowell actually managed to get that to number one as part of 3 number ones by the band by Robson and Jerome at the time, and one of the consequences was they kept Oasis off the number one hit with their arguably most famous song. It did seem like a travesty at the time, a travesty of musical injustice that, well, for me anyway, that this really lightweight, cynical cash-in got to number one, and this absolutely monumental song that everyone was singing, that everyone loved, didn't. I do think they've won the war though. Nobody really remembers Robson and Jerome, apart from Jerome Flynn was actually in Game of Thrones as the mercenary who fought for Tyrion Lannister. Robson Green goes out fishing, does a fishing show. Seems happy enough, seems having a great crack, seems having a great time with it. Again, going back to the freaking Beatles horseshit, I would put this up against any Beatles song you'd want to hit me with, and I don't care. I think I would win. It's just, without being gimmicky, without breaking the structures of what a pop song is, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, chorus, outro. It just captures such the essence of pop musicianship so perfectly. A lot of people think that rock music reached its peak at this point, including Radiohead, and there's nothing therefore to do with the traditional guitar, drum and bass setup, because perfection had been reached at this point. The strings come in this at exactly the right moment, like perfect production from Owen Morris. The strings drop just exactly when they build the song at that moment. The little piano melody at the end, just again doesn't overstay its welcome, doesn't try to do too much. It just does exactly what it does to fill in that sort of potential gap in the song. If you listen to it in its entirety and in isolation, you're not left wanting in any facet. You know, you don't feel like the lyrics should be more expressive, or that the melody should be more, or that the melody is too trilly, or that the vocals are too expansive. Everything just fits perfectly. It's like, have you ever seen a picture of a perfectly measured cube fitting into a perfectly measured cube, a perfectly measured box? It just slides ever so satisfyingly into the box. This is the song. Everything is just so perfectly satisfying. Everything just feeds into itself and feeds into each other and feeds just the greater whole. If this was your career, your entire career was writing this one song, you know, just on the basis of a billion plays on Spotify, you could have dined on it for the rest of your life. To think this was just the second song, or the second release of his second album, you know, it was 18 months after he had hit the big time, he had just decided, right, we need to write some more songs, and this is one of the ones he came up with. He said he wrote it in like an hour or something. He was just in that sort of headspace where just everything he touched was just golden. Like 1995 as a year in music is just unsurpassed. You know, Prodigy hit it big, the Chemical Brothers hit it big. There were some great movies came out that year. Seven, Heat, The Usual Suspects. It was such a great year in sort of pop culture overall. I was too young to sort of fully appreciate that, but you know, I was aware of everything going on around me. It just seemed like the epitome of excellence, really. But just to give you an example, so when this song came out and was beaten by Robson and Jerome, it was knocked off Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise off the number one hit. Like that was a really, really hardcore rap tune. You know, that was number one for 2 weeks or whatever it was, or the thing maybe four. You know, it was just this hit after hit after hit. Like, you know, everything was just amazing at the time. You know, there was an alternative culture that had really reached the mainstream. Maybe even the best year in popular culture history. You know, that was the year PlayStation got released, the very first PlayStation. You know, what a monumental event that was in sort of cultural terms. 1995. You know, I think people will look back on that year the way, you know, they look back on 1979 or you know, 1968 or whatever. 1995, there was something in the air that year. Whether there's been any years like it, maybe I just was out of the loop too much, but that there's something in 1995 where just everything seemed to be, there seemed to be an appreciation and you know, where just artistic and creative freedom and had just blossomed so much that it was unavoidably popular, like in all strands.